In this video, I'm going to show you how to get warm introductions to investors. We all know that cold calling investors is just not a fun experience. It's not the most optimal. Often it is required and is something that a founder has to do because they got no other option. But we all know that warm introductions are a way better way to get introductions to investors. And if you stay till the end of this video, I am going to show you the 4 words that I use plus the 4 questions to lock in those warm referrals. This is how I do it. I've raised over $100 million from my startups, other people's startups, as well as startup funds, and I get networked to investors, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do it so you can go out there and do it as well. Before we continue, my name is Ed Kang. If we've met before, just use the timestamp and skip ahead to the main part of this video. I've made it the easy as possible for you to get there. If we have not met before, I'm a 7-time funded founder with 2 exits, and that's just a fancy way of saying I failed a bunch of times to your benefit because I use YouTube videos like this, especially to help early stage founders raise early stage funding, avoid some of the catastrophic mistakes that I've made during my career and my 7 startups. It's not to say you're not going to make mistakes, but I'm going to try to minimize the damage and the heartache and the gnashing of teeth because it's hard enough as it is. Let's work together. I'm also the Chief Strategy Officer for Startups.com, and I help founders all the time with raising capital. Like I said, you have my history, and I want to talk specifically about this because I see founders go about it all the wrong ways. They come and approach me. I see them approach other investors, other founders, asking for referrals, and it just doesn't go well. So I wanted to record this and show you the way so you can go out and try it yourself. The principle that we want to follow here is that you have not because you ask not properly or appropriately. In other words, you're not asking the right way. And this is sales 101. You don't get the sale if you don't ask for the sale. You don't ask for the close. It's the same thing with referrals. You have not because you ask not. And on top of which, if you are asking, you're probably asking the wrong way if you're not getting those referrals or you're not getting the information that you need to take the next step. And like I said, it happens to me all the time. Do you know so-and-so investor? Or can you introduce me to this investor? Or do you have any investors that you can introduce me to? Or will you invest in my startup? And you have to understand, those are closed questions. And there are 2 things that occur. I've learned just to say no. I don't know you, and therefore, why would I refer you? Think about this for a second. If I've spent over 30 years working in startups to develop my social capital, it takes one bad referral. I had one happen the other day where I gave one bad referral and it did not work out, and now I have egg on my face, and I'm having to rework that relationship to build back my reputation. One bad referral, and you can tear down all the goodwill, all the social capital that you've accrued over the years. So I'm not going to waste that opportunity. I'm not going to take that chance on an unknown commodity or an unknown person and potentially risk that relationship. So if you're asking me black and white questions like, will you do this? My default answer will be no. And I've learned that over the years. Just say, no, not interested. No, that's not what I do. No, I don't do that. On the other side, sometimes people don't want to say no and they feel bad, but they don't tell you yes. And so they string you along and everybody starts to feel bad because everyone's in this awkward position where they don't want to say yes, but they don't say no. And then you're in this weird gray zone, and that's not where you want to be. You waste a whole bunch of time and resources, and we don't have that to go around if you're trying to raise funds for your startup. I'm going to show you now the 4 words that I use to start all of my sentences, and it's worked every single time. You're going to try it yourself. The 4 words are, what would it take? And then I add to the end of it, such as, what would it take for you to introduce me to XYZ investor? What would it take for you to give me a warm introduction to this person that you know? Sometimes I'll even ask, what would it take for you to introduce me to all the top investors that you think might be interested in my deal? And the whole secret to this is it's an open question. You are asking an open question and you're getting feedback, and you have to be prepared for the response. Because either way, whether you get the referral or not, you're going to get data on what to do next, and that is so valuable when it comes to building your network. Like I said, you have to be prepared for the responses. They may say, no, your startup is not the stage that I recommend at this time. Or you might get something else like, sure, I'd be willing to recommend you if you had a pitch deck, or you had more traction, or you had this or that. There are so many ways the conversation could go, and you're going to be listening, and that gives you the data. That's the sales 101 component. You are letting them tell you what it takes to close the deal. We say this all the time. Get into a conversation. Don't just go after a conversion. Conversations over conversions. And by asking an open question and sincerely listening and accepting the response, well, there are amazing things that you can get as far as insights are concerned, other questions to ask. On top of which, say you get the response that you're not looking for. They say, no, I'm not interested. you can ask, well, what would make you interested? Or may I ask, what feedback would you have for me to do this better that I could improve for the next time or the next person that I'm asking? Now, let's just say you do get what you need, or you're able to provide what they need, and you are going to get a referral. Then you want to make sure that you do not let that momentum die, that you follow through. And I'm going to give you the 4 questions that you need to be asking to make sure that you execute and that everything keeps moving along at the rate that you need to, because like I said, you probably don't have time to sit around. So let's figure out how to move that train along as fast as possible. The first question that you're going to ask is a what question. It's going to be, what is the plan? What are the next steps? So clarify with them and repeat. They might have already said it, but you're going to review and say, can I just summarize what I heard the next steps are? After that, you're going to be asking a timeline. You're going to put a time based on the action plan, and that locks it in. It creates a bit of accountability. You're going to ask them, when will you do that by? When will you give the referral? They may say, you know what I need from you is a little blurb, and I need you to send that to me so I can give it to the people that I want to refer to you. And you'll say, great, if I get that to you by tomorrow, when can you make those referrals by? And they'll give you a time frame, and then you know when to follow up if they don't respond. For example, if they say, yeah, I'll do it by next week, great. I will contact you 10 days from now or 2 weeks from now just to follow up. If I haven't heard from you, you probably got busy, something like that. Let me just put you in the books right now. You see how that kind of puts everybody sort of on the hot seat to say, hey, I need to commit to a timeline, because as much as you appreciate it, you don't want to let them off the hook by giving you just a vague timeline. You want to make sure they execute and they're operating with integrity with what they tell you. And by the way, you're going to learn the quality of that referral source on whether they follow through and what you can depend on in the future, because not all referral sources are created equal. You'll learn this very quickly. After the when, you're going to ask how, and that's a process. If that's not been clear yet, you're going to say, how are you going to do it? They may say, I'm going to send an email and CC you both and introduce you to each other. Or they may say, I'm going to email them first directly and ask if they're ready to get a referral from me, and then I'll let you know. That's how you make sure you don't have this vacuum of information in your head, because your brain doesn't like a vacuum. Let's say you don't know how things are going to work, how the process is moving forward, and you don't hear from them for a week. And then you're tempted to become an annoying person and contact them and figure that out, when you could have just clarified what the process is, how they're going to do it right from the beginning, and everybody feels okay about it. Finally, here's something that most founders do not get from their referral source. Who? In other words, how can they reference you, or how are you going to reference them? Let me give you an example. Sometimes I'll say, don't tell them that we golf together. Don't tell them that you're my late cousin, because I want to keep it professional. Or I say, great, tell them that we're best friends and we hang out all the time. It's okay. Other times founders will ask me, can I say that you're my advisor or you're my mentor? And I'll let them know, no, that's not appropriate for this referral. Or I may say, great, go for it, do it. Have fun. Clearly defining how you're going to reference each other is going to be very important to make sure that referral is very credible. Now, here's one last pro tip that so many founders forget. Make sure that you follow up. If someone gave you a referral, follow up with them, let them know how it went, and thank them. A little bit of gratitude goes a long way. Let me get a little personal here. I refer people to founders all day long. I'm highly networked. I love to do it. It's part of my job. But less than 10% of people come back to me and let me know how it goes. And even fewer actually tell me that they're thankful or they're grateful. Now, I am not fishing for gratitude. I'm not saying I need to be appreciated, but I'll tell you what it does. It helps me know what type of referral that you are. It helps me understand how it went, and it keeps you top of consciousness for me to refer you in the future. I'm human. When you come to me and you say, I'm very grateful, thank you so much, I appreciate you, I remember you, because it makes me feel good to be appreciated, and that's going to help you in the future. Help me help you. If I have to chase you down and I'm wondering whether you are a good referral or not, how that meeting went, and furthermore, I had to go to my contact and say, I referred someone to you back then. Did they actually contact you? How did it go? That doesn't put you in a good light. That shows you that you're the type of founder that can't be trusted with referrals, that can't be trusted with my most important relationships. And even so far to the point where I will give you a less of a referral. I'll test you with someone that I'm just like, okay, let's see how this goes. And if it doesn't go well, no harm, no foul. They understand that I might be giving wide referrals, people that aren't going to necessarily be right in their vein or their lane, who they're used to, or the quality that they want. But then there are other referrals that I give that I have to make sure that you will represent me very well. And if you don't follow up, well, then that's going to be a problem between you and me. And we don't want to be in that situation. Let me end by challenging you to give this a shot. Ask that question. What would it take? And go create a list of people who know investors, or who might already have investors, or might be connected to other people who can get you those investors. Say, what would it take for you to go and introduce me to those people? It implies that you already have a good relationship with them, and you're going to learn very quickly. On top of which, it implies that you've done some research and you know what value the referral could make. Do that, try it, let me know how it goes. Give me your feedback, appreciate all your comments, do the YouTube thing, like, comment, subscribe, and guess what? I'm going to have part 2 coming soon on startups.com because I got something special planned. I think you're going to like it, so stay tuned to that channel for part 2 of this video. Thanks for hanging out with me here. I'll see you in the next one.